Welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Today is Friday, July 26th, and this is our last Friday feature for the month of July. And I want to welcome everyone to our Friday feature who've not seen us before and tell you a little bit about BMG Fly. We are a nonprofit organization started in 2018 with the purpose of uplifting and amplifying the unique experiences of Black and Muslim girls and women. And every Friday we do that by hosting a guest, an amazing Black Muslim girl or woman, and talk about what's important to her professional endeavors, her passions. And this week we have an amazing guest who is very popular on Instagram as Practical Muslim. Her name is Zahra AlJabri, and she is a personal coach and among many other things. And I definitely want to get started on our conversation today about several things, including uplifting us as Muslims in the community and making sure that we are focused and have our goals in sight. A lot of times, a lot of people have different ideas of what makes a good Muslim and what as a Muslim you should be doing. And I push back on that because I believe that the diversity of our experiences is what makes us a great community. And I want to talk about that with her as well. And yes, very excited. So let me go ahead and see if we can message Zahra. It is 12 o'clock and time to get started. If you are just joining us, please do tap the little airplane in your app and send this out to folks to let them know, hey, join in this live, so they can learn about what it's like to be an amazing Black Muslim woman in America and be so dope and be so fly, and talk a little bit about personal coaching and how it aligns with the Islamic faith and many other things. So inshallah, we will get started. I'm going ahead and share this out to folks as well to let people know that I'm live. And awesome. And let's see. Hopefully we will get started. In the meantime, if you have questions or comments about what it means to be a Muslim in America, how it is to live your best life, what are some of the things that you're looking for to help keep you motivated and uplift you, please put them in the chat because we are going to talk with Zahra about that as well. And hopefully get started in the next 30 seconds. In the meantime, introduce yourself, tell us where you're signing in from, and I'll let you know a little bit about me. My name is Nia Malika Dixon. I'm an independent filmmaker originally from Baltimore, and I moved to LA back in 2005 with the goal of amplifying our stories as Black Muslim people. I wanted to write for television and film so that we could have our stories out there as well. In my journey, I came up against, of course, a lot of obstacles. And one of the turning points in my career as an independent filmmaker was attending Sundance Film Festival back in 2018. And I had already been in the industry for about 13 years at that point, and I still hadn't seen as much as I would like with regard to authentic stories with Black and Muslim people in the center. And I really wanted to push back on that. And I asked Spike Lee, of all people, at a panel about his role in making sure that there's diversity among Black stories, especially since he was the mastermind behind one of the best films, in my opinion, that starred the story of a Black Muslim American, Malcolm X. And unfortunately, I was met with so much opposition again, sidestepping, changing the subject, redirection. Nobody really wanted to take on that, whether it's Islamophobia or anti-Blackness or a combination of both. So that's why I decided to start BMG Fly. We had our first film festival that year, December 2018. And the goal was to provide a platform for Black and Muslim filmmakers like myself who just weren't getting the push or the spotlight put onto these stories. And alhamdulillah, that year was amazing. I met so many amazing Black and Muslim filmmakers, especially Black women filmmakers, including Muhi Ali, who we are going to have her as a Friday feature as well next month. Actually, we have two amazing filmmakers who are Black Muslim women in our Friday feature roster for August. And that was really the beginnings of BMG Fly. And here we are in 2024. We are a nonprofit, 501c3, and we definitely want to push the envelope even further. And alhamdulillah, this is a mission that we're in. Welcome, Lady Naja from Los Angeles at the Islah community. Yes, I've attended that masjid. It was my home base for a long time when I was in LA. Alhamdulillah, welcome. So grateful to have you here. Okay, let me go on ahead and pull Zahra the live. Awesome. Let's see. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Hey, alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And part of the reason is because, as I said, to introduce you, you're a personal coach, but also a lot of what you share on social media is so much aligned with BMG Fly that it just makes my spirit feel so good. So I definitely want to jump into that. But before we do talk about all of that, I definitely want to talk about you as a person, because this is a conversation about how amazing and awesome we are as Black Muslim women. And so we'll start with just you introducing yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you're doing right now.
Sure. Thank you again so much for having me. My name is... Sorry, I was late because I was rounding up my children.
No worries.
That's okay.
That's all.
My older brother, my older son is trying to take care of the little one.
That's awesome.
Yes, so my name is Zahra AlJabri. I live in Southern California. It's where I grew up. I'd moved away for a while. My parents are from Kenya. I'm a lawyer by training. I went to law school. I'm an entrepreneur. I started a modest fashion e-commerce, and now I am a life coach.
Awesome. Amazing. Amazing. And as a guest of Black Muslim Girl Fly, I definitely ask everybody on our show, well, it's not really a show, but our chat, when did you step into your own Black Muslim Girl Fly? Not just, getting to know us as an organization, but getting to know you as who you are in your BMG Fly.
That's a great question. So the Muslim community that I grew up in was all Dacian Arab. We were the only African family. We were the only Black American family. And so it worked to my advantage because basically I fit in everywhere. I fit in, because I was the only one. It's like, oh, come be with us, come be with us, come be everywhere. So I was hanging out in all groups. And also able to be like kind of a cultural bridge. Like when people would be like, oh, that's Arab or that's Desi. I'm like, well, we do it too. Like, in Africa, my parents do that. So like, maybe it's a Muslim thing, or maybe it's just a cultural thing, or maybe it's just a brown person thing. Like it's, it's not necessarily like, oh, just our culture. So in that way, I kind of, for myself, saw like so many similarities and commonalities amongst people. And for others was kind of offering that to like, we think there's all these differences between people who are there or here or whatever. And in so many ways, those are artificial and they're not that different. So when I really grew into it though, was when I went into college and got introduced to a more diverse Muslim community and other Black Muslims at that time, and was like, okay, like what does it mean? Like who am I? What does it mean to be me? What does it mean? You know, when people ask you, well, where are you from? And like, oh, because I never really had to answer that question growing up, because everyone knew who we were and where we were from. It was just like, oh, there's Zahra. Like it was just not a thing. It was like, okay, yeah, where am I from? What does that mean? What, you know, what, how do I identify? What stance do I take? And for a long time, because I grew up in white suburbia and because I grew up very involved in the Muslim community, my parents were the founders of the masjid in our local area. I identified strongly as Muslim and not as strongly as Black, or even African American, just because I didn't have that many Africans around me or Black people around me. And it was through college, and then probably even more so just after George Floyd, so even more recently, where I was like, you know what, like, because still, because of my background, and I'm back, I moved away from California for a long time, I'm back in my home city, home state where I grew up. It's like, oh, Zahra, you know, you're just Muslim. I'm like, no, well, I'm Black. Like, let's get it right. Like, I'm Black. And so there's some things that we need to talk about now, especially within the Muslim community, especially just within America. Like, we need to understand, like, what that means, what, you know, all of these races, you know, in the Muslim community, we can kind of try to gloss over racism or just, like, feel like people get a pass. And, like, nope, nobody's getting a pass. We need to address these things.
Exactly. Exactly. And as somebody who grew up in a Muslim community back home, I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Baltimore. Shout out to everybody in the chat who's from Baltimore. I come from a different generation. So like a lot of what's going on now with regard to community is so far from what I grew up in. And for honestly, for the last 20 years, I've been trying to revive, you know, I miss the way community life was for me, because I grew up in a masjid where everybody was Black, you know, and it was more like everybody was family. Like we were cousins. Like we weren't really cousins, but we were cousins. You know, like, you know, my best friend's mother was like my auntie, but you know, we weren't really blood related. And you know, we spent Ramadan at each other's house every night, and praying Tarawih prayer was not necessarily like a masjid thing. It was like a family thing. Like we all got together in our homes, and so like growing up in such a tightly knit community was just what raised me to be who I am. So like every time I meet a new Muslim sister, like you're my sister. Like shout out to Aliyah Sharif right now. You know, that's my sis.
Yeah,
like that's so in my blood. Like that's my sis. Like what are you talking about? You know, and with that, I definitely had to learn how I would be perceived here on the West Coast differently, you know, because it was majority Arab masjid that I was going to at first. And I just like felt like, wait, this is how we treat each other? Like, I don't know if I like this, you know, because it was mostly like cultural things that were like rubbing me the wrong way. Like, you know, that's not how I grew up. And then a lot of times I would come up against the whole like, Black culture is not necessarily a positive thing. And so like that's when I was like, no, wait, we're gonna have to like flip the script. We're reclaiming this narrative. I have a different story to tell you, let me tell you. And so that was kind of part of my impetus for being in pursuit of quote unquote Hollywood, because I really wasn't trying to be a part of Hollywood. I was really trying to like set the record straight. So hey, I'm a Black American Muslim, we do exist. You know, we've been here for generations. And, you know, being Muslim is not just about being Arab or Desi or, you know, so like, here's a different narrative that you haven't heard yet. And so that was really what, like, for me, kind of pushed the whole agenda behind Black Muslim Girl Fly. You know, we can be fly and be Muslim. there's no right way to be Muslim. And, you know, having your culture is something that's good. I'm so glad you talked about how the similarities in culture, because there's so many similarities. Like if you would just, like, I would think to the Arab people that I was like having conflict with, if y'all would just like pay attention, like we have so many things in common.
Yes,
It's just like,
yes.
it's a but yeah, so like when I see your content and you're talking about having hope and having joy as Muslims, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is like Black joy. Like that's what I grew up with, you know. Things like that, and having optimism. But unfortunately, we have like, some of us have inherited like a scarcity mindset. So like we have this idea that there's a certain thing that you have to do in order to be a good Muslim. You can't do this, you can't do that. But I like the way that you break it down on your broadcast, that there's, you know, you can strive for excellence. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a six-figure income. Like what are you talking about? You don't want to be the best in your field. Like I remember when we talked before this, in preparation for this conversation, you were saying that you wanted to talk about like there's this mediocrity that a lot of us have accepted, and I don't accept that myself. So like, yeah, let's jump into it. Like definitely talk about how your ideas behind Practical Muslim kind of push your belief system and how you show up as a coach in your field.
Yeah, yeah. I love how you've connected the two because probably from the Black experience, right? That's what's informing us more, right? The idea of Black excellence, the idea that you have to be twice as good, you know, to get half as far, or to be like half as recognized. So already from the Black experience, that Black perspective of like, you have to show up, you have to be good, you don't just represent yourself, you represent your family, you sort of represent all Black people, right? Already you have like all of that pressure. And then also then I was growing up as like the Black girl and the only Muslim girl. So like, you're not only representing Black people, you're also representing all Muslim people. And of course, after 9/11, that whole thing. So this feeling of, okay, I know I'm good, right? I know I'm talented. I know I'm smart. I know I'm hardworking. I know I'm thoughtful. I know I'm caring. I know I'm compassionate. I know I'm all these things. And yet I have a society that's viewing me in a different way, that's making all of these judgments, all of these stereotypes, all of these, you know, demonizing things about me, whether it's for my race or my gender or my religion. So how am I going to show up, right? Because essentially you can kind of, it can swing to the way where like you kind of get a pass that like, well, it doesn't matter. No one expects much of you anyways. So like, even if you just do the bare minimum, you got a job, you got whatever, like, hey, that's pretty good. You've got a job, like, great, you know, good for you. You're not whatever. And then of course, for many of us, it swings to the other way of like, just like being, you know, Black women have the most number of degrees, you know, Muslims have so many degrees, right? Like it's just overeducated, overqualified, over kind of trying to prove our worth in this society that like, we are good, we are valuable, look how smart I am, look how hardworking, look how much I can contribute to this organization or to this community or just to my neighbors, look how neat and tidy and my front yard or whatever it is.
Right.
And so there's already like this sense within the Muslim community of working hard and doing well, but it really comes from a place of lack. And it really comes from a place of trying to prove. And it really comes from a place of like, well, I'm not good enough. And so I have to work so hard to show that I am, right? Mm-hmm. To make myself believe and the world believe that I am.
Right.
And what happened for me and what I'm now supporting my clients with is really the realization or the acceptance of like, you know, you are so good, you are so worthy. So put all of that energy, not just to like proving it to the world and to yourself, but into actually fulfilling, right, like what you're here for.
Right.
Fulfilling what Allah blessed you with all of this talent, this smarts, this hard work, all of this goodness, to to bring forth something that you get to enjoy and others could get to enjoy, whether that's through a business or that's through your relationship or starting a family or, you know, community work or justice work or whatever that is. But put that energy into that thing from a positive place of like, I've got all this goodness and Allah is supporting me to amplify it into this world because it's the good that I'm here to spread. Not that I've got all this, I hope I'm good and I've got to show this goodness so people will just allow me to have, you know, the stuff of this world.
Right.
Like, nah, man, you're not here to get any of the trinkets of this world. You're here, man, to like level up like the consciousness of this world. So let's do it from that place.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Oh, I feel it. Like that's definitely, so when you talked about college, you know, and stepping into yourself, your identity, your greatness, basically, that is really like a turning point for a lot of people because this is the first time you're on your own away from your family. You know, you have to like decide, what do you want to do with your life? What's your career choice? You know, and then once you make that decision, you know, you're accepting the challenges that come along with that path, right? But at the same time, it's like, are you doing it because, like you said, are you trying to prove to the world like you're great, you're awesome, you're amazing? As a Black woman, I feel like a lot of times we fall into that trap. I know I felt that. Even though I went to HBCUs, I loved it when I was at Spelman. I was pretty young, so like there's another story about me being at Spelman at 16. But
oh wow,
I know, right? But the thing that I really like took away from my time at Spelman was like the world is just not a welcome place for us as Black women. And we really do, like you said, have to work twice as hard to get half as much. But we can flip the script because our motivation as Muslim women, it's not about trying to prove ourselves to the rest of the world. It's about showing up, like you said, the way that Allah wants us to show up. Allah has given you these gifts. You have this mission. I know when Fajr was on here, Fajr Malika, she and I talked about how Allah talks to us and tells us, you know, this is what your calling is. And it's up to you to accept that calling. But it's really hard. You know, I really want to talk about how you as another fellow Black Muslim woman battled up against that, you know, this conflict between, oh, I really want to fulfill what Allah has put on my heart, but my community, my parents, the society, like all these pressures, how do I balance that? Like what was it that worked for you?
Yeah. So there were probably the two moves that I made where I faced that was like when I first started my e-commerce business, which was in fashion. And I didn't really have a fashion background. I went to law school. I didn't have a fashion background, but I just had this desire to support Muslim women and all women who dress modestly. So my store supported Jewish women and Mormon women, and feeling like, well, who am I, who am I to do this? I don't have the training. I don't have the degrees and certificates, that we love to get. I didn't have them. And, I didn't have the business acumen. I didn't get an MBA. So like, okay, like, well, who am I to do this? And that one, right, like I was able to get over it because it was like, okay, well, I'm looking to others for the fashion piece, and I'm just kind of, it was kind of like a Nordstrom of modest fashion. I would find the different designers, different modest fashion designers, and bring them all together in one place. So there was others who were bringing the fashion piece, and I was kind of more the platform and the marketing and the awareness of like, how can we talk about this issue of modest fashion from a practical kind of business standpoint, that this is big business. Like, women want dresses with sleeves. Women want dresses that are lined, that are not see-through. Women like, talking about it in that sense. So I was able to kind of bridge that gap and get my mind behind it in that way. And I'm sharing that part because me doing that was really important for me to make that next transition as a coach. Because when the time came, all these different factors came into play, and I'd always wanted to be a coach and get into coaching. And so when that time came where the pull was just like so strong, to be a coach, and the resistance was so huge of really like, who are you? And especially because I wanted to do Islamic spiritual coaching, what you see me doing now was like, I do not have, the fiqh background, the Aqidah background. I'm not a scholar. I can read Arabic, read the Quran, but I don't speak Fusha. I don't have it recited in like a beautiful melodious way.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things, like, who am I to speak on Islam?
Right.
I'm literally just a random girl in California talking about Islam, and I'm Black and I'm a woman. Like, it's just like, right. what you doing? What you doing, girlfriend? Like, right. Like, leave that to the sheikhs, right? Leave right. that to the imams. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the experience of like going into a field where, I was unqualified, kind of gave me that like, okay, well, how am I going to approach it here? And so like the same thing, it was just like, okay, well, I am just a girl, and these are the things that have helped me with learning Islam. These are the things, when I understood it this way, it helped me to apply this, right? Like, I'm not telling you the fiqh or the aqidah of anything. I'm telling you the application of these things that you already know, that scholars have already spoken about. And so that allowed me to be like, okay, I have a place, I have a voice, what I have to share is important, and I can honor where Allah is pulling me, and acknowledge my own fears and insecurities around doing so, and know that like where I stand is its own place that I'm standing, right? Like, I'm not trying to stand where scholars, imams, or other people are standing. I'm just trying to stand in this place where Allah, I feel like Allah has told me to stand. Yep. And so Allah called me to stand here, and so here's where I am. And I'm, again, just knowing the spot that I'm in, I think is really powerful, because then I don't feel any apprehension. I don't feel any that much insecurity anymore. Like, people ask me fiqh questions, I say, you need to go to a scholar for that, for the fiqh, right? If you want, some practical, or some, how is this making me feel, or it's really hard for me, it's real, the fiqh is that you have to pray. You have to pray 5 times a day. If someone comes to me and tells me about their troubles and their issues with praying, I can totally help you, right? I can help us uncover, why is it hard for you to pray? Why is it, that you keep missing it, even if you want to, or even if you set an alarm? Like, that's a completely separate issue that is worthy and deserving of support, that often isn't supported by imams and scholars. They would just tell you, right, well, it's haram, you're supposed to pray, why aren't you praying? Figure it out. The shaitan is whispering to you, read more Quran, do more dhikr, make dua, because if you are not praying, you are not Muslim. If you miss this many prayers, you become a kafir, blah, blah, blah. That just terrifies and scares a person into like, oh my God, and it makes it harder for them to do it, right? And whereas when they come to me, I'm standing in a different place. I'm like, okay, so you want to pray, but it's really hard. What's going on? Well, when I was a child, I prayed for this, and I feel like Allah didn't answer me, or I was beaten to pray, and so now I just like feel like I'm only doing it out of obligation, and I don't really feel like I'm doing it sincerely. I feel like a hypocrite. We can get into all of those different things and uncover like the humanity underneath what's going on with a person. And that's what I do. And I stand there, and I know that it's totally different from where others stand, and that allows me to like to honor where I've been called, and do it with the grace and humility of like, this is my little place to stand. Like, I'm not claiming more than it is. I'm just claiming it's like right here, this is it, and that's where I am.
Yeah, I love it. That's it right there. That understanding of yourself, that was the key. And then also your worthiness is inherent. So like you say it a lot, which I love, because it just validates everything I'm thinking in myself. I love it. What Allah has put on your heart, what Allah has called you to. And that worthiness that a lot of us are looking for doesn't come from outside of us. It comes from within, where Allah placed it. And so like standing in your own identity, embracing yourself and being confident with that. And then, the term that comes to mind is yaqeen, because like I follow like the Yaqeen Institute, and I'm like familiar with, you know, the whole idea of that. And to me, I've always been fascinated by that, because I've had people say to me, "Oh, Nia, you're just like you're so strong in your faith," and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, let me tell you something. I struggle just like y'all. Like, I don't know. Like, our struggles are within. And when we equip ourselves with that confidence and, you know, being strong in our relationship with Allah, and, you know, embracing our own identity without shame, that right there is like the solid foundation that you need for your success. And like that comes through in everything you talk about, everything, all your posts. I love it. Like, and that whole idea that this is a practical way to do things, because you're just a girl. Like you said, we're all just human beings. We're not saints, we're not angels. We're the way that Allah created us, with faults and flaws, and we're learning as we go along. And to me, I'm going to always bring it back to story, because like our experiences, the stories that we experience, we share them with each other so that we can learn from those experiences. Like, and don't be afraid or ashamed of messing up and making mistakes, because how else are you going to learn? And like, how else am I going to like communicate to my daughter that, you know, look, this is a mistake I made. I'm trying to like tell you, you don't need to fall down that pitfall. Like, let me just tell you what happened. What had happened was, you know. And so like being able to like share your experiences is so important. And I appreciate that. Like when you are talking on your posts, I feel like you're talking directly to me. You're like, hey, listen, let me just like remind you. So like how you transition from, okay, this is what I want to do. I've like embraced my identity. I'm really solid in who I am. I'm not like this thick expert, but I can point you to those places. But then how do you like hone your own skills and like stay confident in your own skills, and then keep leveling up in such a way that, you know, keeps you going forward toward that fulfillment?
Oh, yes, that's a beautiful question. And um, it makes me think of Black Girl Magic. And I love that phrase when it started trending, whenever it was. And I reflected on it a lot. And I feel like because of all the stereotypes against Black people, against women, against Black women,
Mm-hmm.
right? It creates this opening for us, where that no matter what, people are going to talk. No
Yeah.
matter what, people are going to judge. No matter what, people are going to make assumptions. No matter what, people are going to have negative views or stereotypes. So because it's like this whole kind of entire veil of negativity and badness and whatever, in a way, it's freed us.
Yeah.
It's freed Black women to be like, okay, well, no matter what I do, you're going to be talking smack about me or assume things or judge me. So like, I might as well just do whatever the heck I want. Because even if I was just sitting at home by myself doing nothing, you'd be like, she's a freeloader. She's just a lazy Black woman, blah, blah, blah. And if I'm, you know, the CEO of Pepsi, you're going to be like, strong Black woman. She's always angry, yell at. So like, what? There's no one to please. There's no one to impress. No one expects anything of me. No one is demanding anything of me. No one has anything good to think about me. So I am free to do whatever I want. And what does that lead to? Freedom leads to magic. That is the Black girl magic. Everyone else is trapped. Yes. All other races, all other, and men are trapped. Right? Daisies, you're expected to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? You're expected to be smart. You're expected to be intelligent. You're expected, like, so when you're not, like, oh, what's wrong with you? What happened? Like, you're Indian and you don't know. Like, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So when you fail, it's like, you can't just rise and be magic and do anything. You have a specific box you need to fill, right? An Asian person, the good model minority. You're supposed to be nice and demure and quiet. Like, why are you like, Everyone else has a box and a role, and Black women don't have that. Or we do, but it's like just negative. So we're like, okay, I might as well do anything. Yeah. And so your question is just leading me to that. Like, well, how did you do it? Well, because I was free. Yeah. I was free. And I literally, literally, I grew up in white suburbia where literally discounted. No boys liked me, not picked for any sports teams, not, you know, I mean, I played and I was involved, and I had a great childhood. Just that in the sense that, like, you know, the microaggressions, I didn't experience any overt racism.
Right.
I was smart, I was well liked, I was whatever, but it was always literally the stereotype that you see in the movies of the token black girl. Like, that was my life, the token black girl. Like, you're not like other black people.
Right.
Well, you're Muslim. I don't know what that is. And just like you're here, we're gonna humor you and indulge you. We're not really gonna get close to you. We're not really gonna, you know, have any, like, you know, there wasn't a deep bond, but like, no one was overtly mean, no one was whatever. It's just like, you're there and we don't know what to do with you, but you seem fine and you seem nice and you're kind of smart and you're funny, so whatever, like, just be there. But that's essentially the freedom that I had, right? So in that sense, I feel bad for other people. Like, you don't get to have, you know, there is no other whatever person magic. There's just black girl magic, because we literally have that freedom. And so that's the advantage that I have, to be able to, like, yeah, this is my niche. I talk to so many people who, like, I want to be a Muslim coach, I want to do coaching just like you. I'm like, okay, cool, go ahead and do it. And then, like, a whole litany of insecurities and fears, and my parents will never let me, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, well, let's get to work uncovering that. I didn't have to dig through all of that. I can help you dig through all of that. But my advantage was I didn't have to dig through any of that pile of crap that you have to dig through when you have, you know, quote unquote, positive expectations surrounding you, because those positive expectations can become a box, can become a trap, can become a lot of pressure that that can hold you back. Whereas Black women, we are free from that.
That's a beautiful way to, like, flip it. So, like, yeah, nobody expects us to be great, even though we do. Like, we expect us to be great, but the world at large, like Malcolm X said, the Black woman is the most disrespected woman, the most disrespected person. And in Zora Neale Hurston's book, Their Eyes Were Watching God, this stuck with me when I was in college. Like, I was freshman, and Nanny said, the Black woman is the mule of the world. Like, nobody really wants greatness from us or expects us to be great. They want to be able to pile onto us to, like, you know, serve and, you know, feed their magic. So, like, Black Muslim Girl Fly is what I coined because of that same idea, that same notion. To me, is like, yeah, nobody expects this from you, but you know you're great. You know that you're amazing. So just step into your greatness and soar. Like, and the quote that came to mind was, you know, the wind, if you ride it, you can soar. So, like, I believe it was Toni Morrison who said that. And I thought to myself, yeah, like, yeah, life is really hard, but if you, like, glide into it, you know, and the same idea came along when I learned how to surf, you know, like, yeah, a Black Muslim woman who surfs.
I love it.
You just have to ride the wave. You know, if you fight against the wave, you're going to wipe out. You know, if you don't find the groove and glide with the wind, you won't soar. And so, like, that's what you do. You take what's, you know, given to you, and you make the most of it. That's one of my mantras, you know, I live by. I can only do the best I can with what I have from where I am, and it's good enough. And it's what Allah has given me, so it's definitely good enough. So yeah, I love that. I love that. So how can we, as Black Muslim women, continue, you know, to step into that greatness? You know, right now, society, I mean, politics aside, because I'm not even going to have a conversation about about Kamala, but I'm going to talk from an interior perspective. Because I know most of the people who follow our organization, most of the girls and the women who I'm speaking to, don't really pay attention to that in the way that, you know, society wants us to. Yes, we're affected by it. Yes, definitely pay attention to it. But my priority is my relationship with Allah, because my eye is on the prize. Like, my goal is the next life. Like, I'm preparing my goal to be the house that I want in Jannah. Like, and I honestly, personally, I'm gonna just share my own individuals. I'm like, I want my house next door to Allah. Like, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but this was my plan. I'm thinking about, like, I want a nice house next to Allah. Like, you know, I'm thinking about Jannah. Like, I'm living in the moment here on earth because I know what my earth side goals are. I know what my mission is, you know. But at the same time, I'm thinking about pleasing Allah, and I'm driven by the ayah in one of my favorite surahs, Surah Al-Duha, and it's gotten me through the past 5 years. Honestly, I've been going through some challenges where Allah says, you know, enter my Jannah well pleased and well pleasing. So it's not
Mm.
just, you're not just, you know, trying to please Allah, you're also pleasing yourself. Allah said so. Allah said so. And another ayah that drives me is from Surah Al-Anfal, where Allah says to answer the call of Allah and his messenger when you are called to do things that give you life. You know,
Mm.
we are here to live our life, but also, you know, preparing for the next life. And so, like, how can we as Black Muslim women continue, like, leveling up, staying focused on our goals here, you know, that excellence that we strive for within ourselves, but also with that goal, that akhira mindset, like somebody said in the chat. Thank you for sharing that, the sister who shared that. Yeah, like, what is your process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I love that. This is really deep. I mean, I do feel like Black Muslim women, we are in this really powerful and unique position of um having, you know, having the Black girl magic, right? That you know, is available to any Black girl. And then being Muslim and like connecting that to like Islam and God and an afterlife, and like you're not just living for this dunya, you're living for the akhirah as well. And so, I mean, the core of it, I feel like the simplest part of it is um is again just that it literally kind of sets you free. You literally are set free of the trap that many people are trapped in. Many people are, you know, for non-Muslims, they're engulfed in kind of the accumulation of this world, right? Like, what can I get? How can I raise my status, my beauty, my whatever, right? Like, what are all the beautiful features, right? Like, you're getting their lips filled to be like Black women, BBL, like, right? It's all like, it's literally to be us, right? Even as they
Yeah.
vilify us to be us.
Hmm.
So other people are engulfed in the pursuit of the wealth and the beauty and the status. And as Muslims, we have a distance from that, in the sense that yes, we strive to enjoy and experience the goodness of this world, the luxuries of this life, but from a perspective of like understanding that this is not the end all be all. There's more to come, right? So I don't need to, you know, do anything unethical or immoral to get it. I can just strive and know that I'll get to taste some of it here, and inshallah more in Jannah. And then the power that we have from being from, you know, everyone talks about like the, you know, the trauma, the generational trauma, the generation whatever, but we have the generational strength to be a
Yes.
Black person alive today. You know, so there was strength in our lineage to be alive, because so many things were trying to destroy us and tear us down and kill us and enslave us and demoralize us. So are if you have come to this moment and have, you know, a reasonable amount of like your wits about you, right? Of course, there's those in our community who are not as fortunate as you and I that are struggling in these, and that trauma has taken a strong hold on them. But if you're one of those who have the benefit of the strength kind of outweighing that, then that's all strength. Like that's literally all power. And all you mean millennia of people have been trying to tear you down or kill you or abuse you or put you someplace, and you're here not, girl.
Yeah.
Please. What can you not do?
Right.
What can you not do?
Right.
You can do anything.
Yes. Like
what
Lulu
can
said,
you not do? So it's really just acknowledging, like, I'm incredible. I'm amazing. God created me and I'm here. Now what?
Yeah.
What do I want to do? What do I want to make? What do I want to experience? What do I want to share?
Yeah.
And again, you don't have that pressure of like anyone, like you do art, you do gymnastics, you do painting, you write a script, you make a movie, anything you do will have a touch of magic in it because you're literally magic. You existing is magic. You existing right now is just strength, power, grace, love, mercy, beauty, dignity, everything. So you're even if you did nothing, even if you did nothing, and for anyone, for any person of any race and any gender, even if you're like in a coma, right? Like that you are worthy and divine and inherently valuable because Allah created you.
Exactly.
So even if you did nothing, you're amazing.
Exactly.
And then if you're talking specifically about Black women and you are alive and you are conscious and you are doing anything you're doing is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And
your existence is resistance, your existence is beauty, your existence is strength, your existence is power. Like you don't have to feel like I need to struggle for anything else or I need to be involved in anything else. Of course, we're amazing Black women, so we probably will be, but your mere existence, like you know, your energy walking into any room shifts the conversation, shifts the energy, gets people on their toes because like, oh, shoot, a Black Muslim woman's in the room. Yeah, now what are you going to say? What are you going to do? What do you think is going to let slide? I don't have to say anything. I can just step into the room. I've shifted the entire dynamics.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Every day we get from the Creator is a miracle. Thank you, Lulu. Lulu is dropping some great comments in here. Like she's generational resistance was one of them. Yep, definitely. You know, all of that. And as long as you remember these things, you know, you have to remember these things because society is set up the way the system is set up. We're in the system. There's no way for us, unless you rebuild your own system, which I do. Like I honestly, I get up every day and I'm like, you know what? Because I'm not a fan of capitalism. You know, I don't buy into that. I created my own system for survival. And my success is contingent upon how I approach things through Allah. Like I'm not doing things because I need to make that dollar. You know, when I'm making money as a way to create opportunities. Money is a tool, you know. Materialism is the farthest things from my mind, right? So it's like, as Black Muslim women, we're given this system that we operate in, and we have been gifted. We are blessed with the guidance that Allah has given us, you know, and the stories that we tell ourselves are reflective of that. Because if we keep repeating the stories that everybody else is telling us, then of course we're going to be like, oh no, woe is me, I have no agency, you know. And oftentimes we give our power away because we've been manipulated into thinking that that's what we're supposed to do. And I'm speaking from my own experiences, you know, like alhamdulillah, I'll be 50 in September. I'll be 50, inshallah. And like you said, I have gone through so much to get to this point. I will be doing myself a disservice not to go back and reflect on, oh, I did this, this, and this. Yes, I failed at this, but look at what I learned. Look at where it brought me. And look how I got through it. Allah brought me through every single thing, never, ever abandoning me. That goes back to my surah, like Surah Duha. You got to read the Quran. It's all of it's in there. Like, you know, one of my favorite lines from Amir Suleiman, a friend of mine, his poetry is that life is hard. You need a how-to? Allah made a how-to for life. Like, the book is there. Allah's Quran is there. This is your secret. This is your guidance right here. And every time you bow your head in prayer, you're getting that guidance. And as long as you ask for it, Allah doesn't turn away. Every prayer that you're asking is being answered, and it may not be instant, it may not be the way you think it is, but as long as you're asking, Allah is answering. And like, that's something that I definitely want the folks who are listening and watching to hold on to, because as a person who has survived a lot, I'm going to get emotional if I talk about it, so I'm going to change the subject. But as somebody who has survived a lot, the one thing that will get you through is your relationship with Allah. And that's a solid relationship that starts with you. And then the next relationships are with your family. Mainly, my mom is my best friend. So and then you branch out from there. There's a hierarchy, it's you and Allah, you and your family, you and your friends, you and your community, you and the world, right? So stay focused on your position in it. Like you were saying, we're blessed, we're gifted. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Oh my gosh, I love what you shared. And yeah, I mean, that would be like my the gem I would leave with is like, just focus on your relationship with Allah. Yeah. The more you can feel connected to God, to know that God's on your side, God's on your back, God wants you to be successful, God has high dreams for you for this world and the next world, that he's put all of these beautiful gifts and talents within you for the greatness that you are, that that you can feel that, again, we don't really see reflected back at us in society. You stay connected to God, like you just let
Oh, we're back. Oh, we were getting so good. That always happens. Instagram doesn't want us to be great sometimes, but that's okay. Allah's got us. So I'm going to try to get Zahra back in here, because she was saying something really important. And I definitely want to make sure that we continue that, because... Okay, here we go. All right. So just in case you're just joining in, this is our Friday feature with Zahra AlJabri, aka Practical Muslim. Thank you. I don't know what happened, but sometimes that happens. But continue, please. You were talking about being great.
Yeah, I was just saying, for us Black Muslim women to just really focus on our relationship with Allah.
Right.
Just just leaning on Allah more, trusting in Allah more, asking Allah for more guidance, spilling all our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our insecurities, our complaints with Allah, so that we can just really have this solid connection with the source.
Yes.
Because the greater that we can have that connection, it's what we're here to do. It's what Allah commands for us. But I think it's even more so. There's other people that can survive and perhaps even have a semblance of thriving, even if their connection with God is very weak. But I think for Black Muslim women, that we're susceptible to spiraling down if we don't have that connection. It is that connection with Allah that supports us in spiraling up, in creating that Black girl magic, in all of those things. And so to just really holding that as the most precious and most dear thing that we can have, because the rest, the world is going to let us down. So when we can hold on to that, it doesn't matter where the world is swinging and what nonsense they're spewing next and what shenanigans they are up to, that we will be held by that light and by that grace, and be able to continue to be the shining beacons, for humanity that Black Muslim women are.
Yes, definitely. And that's part of the reason why BMG Fly exists. Like, I wanted to build a sisterhood, a sense of community, because right now society is siloed. Like, everybody's like very much individualized, and that that community that I spoke about earlier in our conversation, that I grew up, you know, back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, is so needed, you know, looking out for one another, being held responsible. And these are things that Allah requires of us. Like, this is not just, you know, platitudes. This is a responsibility that you will be asked about. Like, if your neighbor is hungry and you did nothing to help feed that person and you're sitting at home eating, then you're held accountable for that. Like, that's something that's not good. You're committing a wrongdoing. So it's like, you know, being aware of not just, you know, yourself, but also your community and those people around you is so important, not just for the people around you, but also for yourself. And it's something that I tried to like communicate to one of my younger brothers. And you know, getting to know other people, getting to befriend strangers is very important, because you never know what experiences that stranger has had that may be beneficial to you.
Mm.
So like, you may learn something about that stranger's life that educates you, that gives you a tool that helps you level up in life, that you never would have even imagined unless you talk to that person. Like, so you have to like stretch yourself, you know, get out of your comfort zone, and definitely start with your community. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, to start with your home. Like, you know, your family, those are the people who deserve your charity the first. And then, you know, from there, your community. And like I was saying, that hierarchy. And I definitely want to impress upon everyone to follow your posts, because they are so educational. Like you were saying earlier, it's from a practical sense. These are things as a Muslim person that we know that we can implement for ourselves, that oftentimes we like doubt ourselves or second guess ourselves. But no, you have to empower yourself. And I believe you're supposed to do that. Like everything, like I definitely save your posts and like send them in the group chat. Like my family is probably sick of me. Like they're like, wait, this again? Come on. No, seriously, go back to this and go watch it. Trust me. So definitely, like, tell us what's coming up next for Practical Muslim. Oh, but before we do that, like, tell us what you're doing in your community. Like, because I feel like what you're doing in your own surroundings is something that can inspire others in their surroundings. So like, for example, how are you showing up for the people in your community, and then sharing your Black Muslim Girl Fly there?
Yeah. Okay. I love everything you shared. One thing I created is, it's called the Halala Land Social. So we live in LA, La La Land. And so every month we tour a different halal restaurant in the area. It's just an open, it's just on Eventbrite. So anyone can buy a ticket and just, you know, it pays for your meal and you come and join us for dinner. But it was one of the ways I was like, I have my friends, obviously. I have my Muslim community that I grew up with, but and this might be more of an LA thing, is like we're very scattered here in LA, like because of traffic and because of all sorts of stuff. It can be hard for people to connect outside of like their own social circle,
Right.
just because of work and traffic and all of the stuff.
Yeah.
And so this was one of the ways that I was like, okay, you know, I want to be able to create links and form community across the different social groups and networks and beyond just, you know, my own group, so that we can have stronger communities, right? Because we know that the Muslim community and other communities can become very cliquish, or can just become very siloed off, or we can become the Arabs here, the Desis here, Ethiopians, whatever, right? Nigerians, everyone just like having their own thing. And so like, how can we this was just an idea and one way to like allow for more, you know, kind of cross-pollination. And especially in the times that we are living in, right? We obviously know we're living in end of times. Right. How close to the end, we don't know, but we're marching closer and closer to the end. And all we know about the end is that it's more wildness. And the wilder it gets, the more we need each other.
Yes.
So just leaning into everything you said, like, how can I lean into my family more? How can I lean into the community I already have more? And how can I expand and grow my community? Because for whatever's coming ahead, this election cycle, this next decade, like we will need each other to get through it in the way that we want to see the world go, right? We know what has already happened when we do it the way that like we've been taught. Practice your religion, be a good Muslim, do what you need to do by yourself, in your own little community, in your own masjid, for your own people, whatever. We all did that while they were looting and stealing and burning everything down. And so now it's time for us to all be awake and be like, nope, you know what? The whole world belongs to us. Yeah. The whole world belongs to us, and we need to be wide awake, paying attention to everything happening all around the world. Because enough of this, like, just, oh, I'm going to stay here, and I'm a doctor, I got my degree, and I have my house.
I'm telling you, we're on fire. Like this is the third time. So inshallah, we're going to continue. And then we're going to close out with some really great inspiring words, some advice from Zahra. But we were talking about expanding, being of service to our community, not just in our own, but being available to others, alhamdulillah. And I'm going to bring her back in and ask Zahra to share one piece of advice that she would give to her younger self, because there are some young women out there who definitely would benefit from it, as well as some elders. Like on my last Friday feature, the piece of advice was something I took to heart, so inshallah, we're going to wrap up our Friday feature, but we could talk for days about this issue. Yes, alhamdulillah. Lulu, thank you for joining, and your comments and your input has been wonderful. My name is Nia Malika Dixon. I'm originally from Baltimore. I'm now on the West Coast, an independent filmmaker. If you've just joined us, I founded Black Muslim Girl Fly with the purpose of uplifting and amplifying the experiences and the narrative of Black and Muslim women and girls, with the purpose of making sure that we're heard and everyone can benefit from our gifts and talents. And this week, Zahra is a life coach, a former lawyer, and she has so many gems. If you're not following her here on Instagram, please do, at Practical Muslim. You can also find out more about that before we go. But in the meantime, follow her here on Instagram. And let me try again. There she is. I don't know what it is, but we're on fire. So let's close out with one final bit of advice that you would give to your younger self that I'm sure another young Muslim girl out there could benefit from.
Oh man. Advice I would give to my younger self. You're better than you think you are. Trust that everything will work out.
Amen. Amen. Like, I've received that. I received that. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And then moving forward, expanding your community was what we were just talking about. Alhamdulillah. And I love the Halala land. If you're not familiar, go on ahead and follow at Practical Muslim. Tap her link and just find out more about that, especially if you're in LA. And then what more can we expect from Practical Muslim? I know most recently you had like a live talk with your husband, who's also a coach. Am I correct?
Yes, that's coming up. We're doing a live event in LA at the beginning of August 10th and 11th. Inshallah, more live events to come. The bulk of our programs are done online and virtually. So we have a marriage program to support you if you want to get married. We have career and success program to support you in career and building your wealth. They're all based on the same foundation of kind of what we were discussing here, which is really building your connection with Allah and seeing yourself in the good, beautiful, divine way that you are, and allowing yourself to be free. So essentially, so you can access that Black girl magic. That's what I do, is help everyone, all Muslims, access Black girl magic.
I love it. I love it. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm definitely blessed and honored to have you. And like I tell all the women who are on here and all the young girls who are on here, you are now a part of my sisterhood, my community. So thank you. And inshallah, we're going to see more. I'm looking forward to bringing more with all of us coming together, not just individually, so that you guys can also meet each other and benefit from, like, I don't want to be the only one benefiting from all your awesomeness. I want you all to benefit from each other as well. It's all about building community, alhamdulillah. And also, if you are not following Black Muslim Girl Fly, please do. You don't have to be a Black Muslim girl to be a part of our community. All you have to do is want greatness for yourself. Everything that we talk about, everything that we've shared today is something that everybody can benefit from. And especially if you're a Black Muslim girl. So yes, alhamdulillah. Inshallah, I will see everybody again here next Friday with our next Friday feature. But in the meantime, please do send us your questions and comments if you have any. Visit blackmuslimgirlfly.com and bmgfly.org. One more thing before we go. Building on some of the things that we talked about today, Zahra, I want to thank you because, like I said in the beginning, a lot of what you share on Instagram, it just aligns with my soul, and alhamdulillah for that. I mean, like, you're a blessing. Like, I just want you to really feel that. Like, you're a blessing. You're definitely a blessing. And I want to share that a lot of times when we're out here and we're doing these things, like Daisy Grant said last time she was our last Friday feature, it sometimes feels lonely. Like, you feel like you're just like screaming to the void, you're sharing, you don't know if people are really getting it or feeling connected, but we are. And I want you to know that. Definitely.
Oh, thank you so much. I totally received that and needed to hear it. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Thank you. And someone in the chat said both of you are a blessing. And I feel that. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Inshallah, I will see you back here next Friday with another amazing Black Muslim woman. Thank you again, Zahra. And oh, by the way, one of my nieces is named Zahra, so that might be why I like you so much. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I like you because you're amazing.
Thank you. You too.
Alhamdulillah. All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Bye. Like, share, comment.